Okay, so my second surprise today, as I got home from where I'd been, is that this bad boy arrived, and this is Masterverse, Masters of the Universe Revelation Tri-Klops. I was really surprised to see him, even though I knew he was coming. I'd ordered him from Amazon, but he wasn't supposed to show up until tomorrow. So when I saw him on my porch today, I was pretty shocked. Because usually if Amazon says something's due on Sunday, it's going to show up on Sunday. If they say it's going to show up on Tuesday, it's going to show up on Tuesday. It's very rarely that they say something's going to show up on a Sunday and then it shows up on a Saturday. Maybe if it's the next Saturday, but in this case it wasn't. So, like I do oftentimes, I got ahead of myself and I went ahead and took this package apart without looking at the artwork and stuff on the side. But we'll go into that first. So here's we got the classic version of Tri-Klops, looking over the Revelation version, the cult leader version with his techno-pagan cult, and of course it just says Tri-Klops over here. And then we've got Tri-Klops leaping into action, about to kick some ass, because like even though he is now the leader of a cult, that doesn't mean he's still not a badass warrior. So, let's read the little blurb on the back of the package. It's got the same cross-sell that's on the other figures from this wave. So you got Savage, He-Man, Fisto, Andra, Tri-Klops himself, Faker, Scareglow, and Stinkwar. So, of these, I now have all of them except for, I guess I've got mostly half. I don't have Andra, and I don't have Faker, so I need to get Faker. And I don't, as of yet, have Stinkwar, but I did order him off of Amazon, so he's on the way. I managed to see where they had him on sale for $15. So I was happy to save myself a little bit of scratch when I ordered that one. And of course, anytime I order anything off of Amazon, it's usually like gift cards that I saved up from doing various things online, like filling out surveys and things like that. And it's basically free anyway. But I spent a little bit less of my free Amazon money. Okay, so we've got a lot of stuff here to cover. This is basically 2 action figures in one. And I think it's actually kind of cool that Mattel decided to do it this way, as opposed to selling us 2 of the same action figure. If that's the case, I probably would have just bought the regular Tri-Klops, because, I'm old school. But I'm happy to have the cult leader stuff as like a bonus. I'm not going to complain about that. So, first thing I'm going to take out is this sword, and as we can see, it is unfortunately a bit warped in the packaging. So, that is a bummer. But don't worry, we can probably fix it just by applying a little bit of heat from a hairdryer. That should do the trick. So then we have the cult leader Tri-Klops head. And it does appear that these are 2 completely different heads. It's not like they just took the same head and put a different eyepiece onto it. It looks like to me it's 2 completely different heads. This is made almost to look like he's got the cult leader piece over the regular piece. So the top of the head doesn't turn. It just kind of turns around like that. So there we've got a triangle eye, and the round eye, and the square eye. So that is a direct reference to the Filmation version. That was how he was done in the Filmation cartoon, not how the original toy was done, because the original toy, of course, had they were all regular eye shapes, but one of them was with a red iris, and one of them was with a blue iris, and the other one was solid red. So, and then we've got these extra open hands. And these are interesting because they do have like a little bit of a design to them. If I can actually get this one out, man, this is buried in here. I'm gonna break this damn thing. So yeah, but yeah, you can see kind of like the little texture in it. And I can't tell if that's painted, because I don't have very good light here. Let me turn on my desk lamp for a second. No, that looks like that's just sculpted into his hand. That might be part of his techno-paganness, I don't know. And then in here, underneath a little plastic thing, we've got like this little burgundy robe. It's got some Velcro in the back. So that's part of how we will transform him into the cult leader. And then this cape, unlike the King Grayskull cape, is actually taped into the package with like some really strong tape. And now I'm worried I'm going to kind of tear this fabric or fray it, or I'm going to have gummy stuff stuck to the fabric. I probably would have rather even had the plastic tabs in this. That's how bad this is. I probably would have rather had just nothing at all and just been able to take the thing out of the package like easily. Yeah, like I was afraid. It looks like there's a little bit of residue left on the package from this cape. So that was a bad call, Mattel. You shouldn't have used that tape. That was, it's like, it's not that important to have the cape spread out in the packaging like that. It's more important to have the cape looking good when it's on the action figure after I take it out of the packaging and I have it standing on my shelf. And now it's not going to be. So, looking over the cult leader armor, the cape hanging off, and it's got the belt that comes along the back. It is kind of vaguely in the shape of Trapjaw's regular armor. Like if you imagine it in green and without the, you know, kind of scarf, I guess, hanging off of it. Notice how like the shape of the emblems on these on this scarf, they're the same as the shape of the eyes. So that's kind of cool. Like it's the symbol of his cult. And then last but not least, Trapjaw himself, or Tri-Klops himself, which they had the decency to not have him held in there with any rubber bands or plastic tabs, which is the least they can do after messing up his cape. So we'll have a look at the armor here, and unfortunately, unlike the original Tri-Klops and the classics Tri-Klops, you can see that there's absolutely no place to put his sword. So that is unfortunate. I don't like that. I think they should have given us a... I don't care if it's on the animation design. They should have put it in the animation design and had a little sheath there to put his sword into, because that's every version of Tri-Klops has that. Why would you not have that? You might think that they would just reuse the He-Man body completely, but they did not. You can see that there's like little gold discs here. I guess because he's supposed to be a cyborg, so they wanted to give him more sort of cyborgy parts. Now you can see there's like some gold paint there, and that was kind of what I was thinking they might have done with those hands, and how the hands have that kind of detail to them. But it doesn't look like that to me. It looks like it's just, it might be on there, but I can just barely see it. So, good articulation. The same articulation we're used to from Masters of the Universe Origin, or, Masterverse. So many of these lines keep straight now. But, he's got, like, the double elbows and the bicep swivel and these pinless joints that look great. The double knees. So, like, in the argument as to what's better between Masterverse and Classics, I would say that the Masterverse are certainly better in terms of, like, the articulation, but I still like the aesthetic of the Classics better. So, you know, it depends on what you're looking for, if you're looking for aesthetic or if you're looking at articulation. He's got a black loincloth, black boots, again, very similar to the original figure. His head is interesting, because you can see they put a little more surface detail into the eyeball piece than the original one had. Various plates and stuff like that. It does turn. So we can turn it around and give him, like, the different expressions. And again, it's an homage to the Filmation version. So they have a square eye and a triangle eye and a round eye, as opposed to the different colored eyes on the original toy. Let's put the sword in his hand, see what he looks like while he's holding the sword. And, like, that's a pretty cool Tri-Klops figure. Like, if you weren't able to get Tri-Klops for Classics, and you just really want a Tri-Klops figure that's in this scale, here's a good way to do it. You know, he'll probably still look pretty good with those Classic figures. He won't fit in 100%, obviously, because it's not the same aesthetic, but I kind of feel like it'd be close enough if you didn't want to spend like, $300 or whatever, how much a Tri-Klops is at the time. I'm really glad I got my Classics Tri-Klops when I did, and I only paid like $60 for it, and at the time I was even like, 60? My God, I can't believe I'm spending $60 on an action figure, but the price on those things has only gone up, and it turned out it was a good decision that I made to spend that $60 at the time, because now it's like $300, and there's no way I was going to spend $300 on any action figure. That's just not going to happen, I'm sorry. So let's go ahead and we're going to take off all the accoutrements of the classic Tri-Klops. You see how he's got like this hair hanging underneath? That's very much a Filmation thing too. Like the original figure kind of had a little bit of hair sticking out the back, and the classics version didn't have any hair at all. But this one's got like just that little bit of hair sticking out. So his armor unbuckles there at the back. There's a little peg. And you can just kind of slide this over there. I'm going to set that aside for now. And I'm going to get this guy all culted out. So we got the Velcro at the back. Opens up like so. And we'll just kind of shimmy him into this robe. Now all of a sudden I'm changing clothes on action figures. It's like a Barbie channel. There we go. Alright. So then we got the robe, and like I said, this is a fairly simple shift. It's just a nice sleeveless robe. Not a lot of detail to it, but it doesn't need a whole lot of detail, because we're just going to put this armor over here. And like with the other one, it opens with a little peg and hole on the back. Unlike with the other one, there's no more strapping on the back other than that. So we can just kind of put it over the neck post, and then wrap the belt around the back of the figure, and hopefully it's loose enough that, yep, snapped on there pretty easily, but still snug enough that it holds the whole thing together. And last but not least, to complete the effect, we will put on the new Tri-Klops head, the cult leader head, with his funny hat, and there we have Tri-Klops as a cult leader. Now there's one other thing I can do with this, and that's to take these two open hands, and now we have Tri-Klops trying to lure you into his techno cult with his beneficence. So there we go. We can all become cyborgs under his tutelage. So this is a really cool figure, and it's especially a cool figure if you're a fan of the show and this particular iteration of Tri-Klops. I like this because it gives us something unique. And like I said, if they had done this as two separate figures, I might not have bought them. I might have just bought the regular Tri-Klops because I'm old school. But since I now have access to these parts and put them together, I actually kind of like him. I think he's pretty cool. I like him a little bit more than I expected I would have. Now, granted, I'm probably still going to leave him in what I consider his default state, because I really like Tri-Klops. Tri-Klops is one of my favorite characters, and I kind of want him to look like that original figure that I loved so much when I was a kid. It doesn't matter if I already have the Classics version. I like this version, too, on its own merits. So, do I recommend it? Of course I recommend it. It's what I consider to be one of the essential He-Man characters, and it's a really good interpretation of him. Especially if you're somebody who wants to have figures in the scale of Classics, but you can't afford that Classics Tri-Klops anymore because he's just so ridiculously expensive. Like, even if you wanted him to have like a little bit more of the Classics aesthetic, you could probably just take the armor and head of this one and get it to fit onto the Classics figure. I don't think that would be that hard. And then he'd have like a body more like the Classics. But to me, this is good enough. This would work just fine, even if I hadn't already. I don't regret buying that Tri-Klops figure, especially at that time. If anything, I regret that I didn't get it sooner, and maybe could have got it for an even more affordable price. But I'm definitely glad I didn't have to spend like $300 on it. But if you missed out on it and you don't want to spend $300 on it, consider buying this one. You can get it on Amazon fairly easily. I see it at Target all the time. It's not that hard of a figure to find. And if you pass it up now, you might regret it later. So don't sleep on this guy. He's a really cool figure. And again, I know that a lot of you guys weren't a fan of the Revelation show, but don't hold that against the action figures. The action figures are so cool. And you're missing out on some cool action figures if you're not buying those. Yeah, I get why you might pass on some of the animation specific characters, like the newer design of Tila with the side of the head shaved. I'm not buying that one myself because I didn't care for that design. But still, like the figures that I like, the figures that are cool, I'm gonna buy those. And granted, like I said, I'm somebody who enjoyed the show for the most part, but I did have my issues with it. It's just like it wasn't a perfect show, but I thought it was I thought it was a pretty decent one. So just like this figure, I think it's a pretty cool figure. I just wish his sword wasn't warped. Hopefully I can fix that later. Anyway, that's it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Please make sure to leave a comment and let me know what you think of this figure and what you think of like pretty much every Tri-Klops figure. He's one of my favorite characters, and I figure if you're a Masters of the Universe fan, he's probably one of your favorites too. So let's talk about it in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye.